What's up, investors? What up, trader? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor. I wanted to do somewhat kind of a different video. I'm going to play a short clip of Peter Lynch, which is basically the godfather of the stock market, of understanding investing and just knowing what you own, doing the research, and just having a true understanding of what you're owning and giving the small investor the confidence to be able to do this. And this has been an icon for me personally on someone who has just really pushed the envelope. Remember watching him and reading about him when I was in elementary school, wanting to be him, on how he conducted himself, how he did business. And I want to play a quick short clip about him, a little cut of a speech that he did in like '94, highlighting on the narrative of a small investor and how he or she can do very well for themselves and not get in the negative tone of what the media or anyone else might have on what a small investor is or is not. So I'm going to go ahead and play that clip, and they'll come back and we'll show some stocks that I am very passionate about and will hold for the long term.
I frankly think it's a tragedy in America that the small investor has been convinced by the media, the print media, the radio, the television media, that they don't have a chance. The big institutions with all their computers and all their degrees and all their money have all the edges, and it just isn't true at all. And when they're convinced, when this happens, when this occurs, people act accordingly. When they believe it, they buy stocks for a week, and they buy options, and they buy the Chile fund this week, and next week it's the Argentina fund, and they get results proportionate to that kind of investing. And that's very bothersome. I think the public can do extremely well in the stock market on their own. I think the fact that institutions dominate the market today is a positive for small investors. These institutions push stocks on usual lows, they push them on usual highs. For someone that can sit back and have their own opinion and know something about an industry, this is a positive. It's not a negative. So that's what I want to talk about. And the single most important thing to me in the stock market for anyone is to know what you own. I'm amazed how many people own stocks. They would not be able to tell you why they own it. They couldn't say in a minute or less why they own it. Actually, if you really press them down, they'd say the reason I own this is the sucker's going up. I mean, that's the only reason. That's the only reason they own it. And if you can't explain, I'm serious, you can't explain to a 10-year-old in 2 minutes or less why you own a stock, you shouldn't own it. And that's true, I think, about 80% of people that own stocks.
All right, so as Peter Lynch has noticed and said, if you noticed, he's basically telling you that being a small retail investor, that you have the advantage of being able to pick something that you completely understand and that you're able to explain it to like a 10-year-old. And I think the very first stock I want to start out with is Disney, or Walt Disney, which is DIS ticker. This thing has been beaten up. I don't know if it's bottomed yet. I'm not sure. I'm just along for the ride. I know that Disney will be here in 10 years. Again, there's a lot of ifs in that, but the Disney brand is so strong. On the top of the parks, all the entertainment they do, and all the other various ventures, which a lot of people don't really know about. There's a crazy chart that I can throw up here on what everything Disney owns. Due to the fact of this COVID-19 stuff, it has just been hammered, and people just don't know how to evaluate it. And there's been multiple days where it was down below 85 and $90, where we were picking it up. We were actually picking it up starting around 100. And then it just kept on dropping. We added more around 95, and then added another percentage around 85-ish, $90. It's been slowly ticking up. I don't know if we're out of the water here yet. If we're in the clear, we have earnings coming up on the 6th of May. There could be, again, more downside coming. Yeah, sure. I'll be able to get some capital to put more in there if the earnings is terrible and it goes back down to its lows. $80, that's fine. I understand how this business works. They make people happy. That's basically their business model. If that's through sports, if that is through entertainment, is that through the streaming service? Is that going to one of their parks? I've done it. It's that they do a fantastic job at that, and their customer service is through the roof. So that's the reason why I'm so understandable of why I own Disney for the long term. Yeah, you can trade this if all this shenanigans and just flip it and do a swing trade or something like that. But I think in the long term, once this COVID-19 is going to be over, you'll see it back to 150 within probably a little over a year. Again, I don't want to make predictions, but this will come back. Don't know when, don't know how fast, but it will come back. You just have to have patience. And the next one is going to be Tesla. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I did sell out of Tesla way back when it hit like 350, 400, and last year. Basically around 350, I sold 90% of my stuff. That was right after this quarter, and it just went skyrocketing, and I got out. No way in heck I saw this happening. There was just I wasn't a complete understanding of what was the driver behind it, because I've been holding it for so many years and just been a true believer in that. It was tough, and I honestly got emotional, which you shouldn't do, with it, and it was just like a big relief of like, finally my knowledge and my investment fortitude paid off. And it was a beautiful return, but this would have been fantastic. That being said, we're not going to dwell on the past, but with that leaf turned, another door opened up, and we were able to get back in at the very lows here, just on the sense of like, hey, if I told myself if I get it back around 350, 375, I have to buy it. So we got back in around 355, 360, with nearly the same amount of size, and just been kind of riding it up. Again, Tesla is going through this like everyone else. They're furloughing and cutting wages for some employees. We could see an overall downturn again, but again, this is a 5+ year hold for in my portfolio. So to see this again, I don't know if it's going to hit 900 again, but I think the long term is just going to be doing just fine. It's going to be growing revenue in the cars. They're going to be making more profit from the Model Y and Model 3. That is going to be their bread and butter for the next coming years. And they're just going to constantly innovate on bringing those prices down for those levels. And next one we're going to be looking at is Microsoft. I know Microsoft has been in my portfolio for quite some time, even though luckily I was able to get into this huge run-up. But again, it's a long-term hold. I didn't sell any of it out, but when the COVID-19 hit and everything, it just kind of flipped the switch in the overall markets. On this whole way down, we were adding it in around 150, 145 for a potential bounce back, and we're kind of slowly seeing that much more than other stocks that we're currently holding. And this has just been a great little resilient stock here, and just continue to push higher. I like how it's kind of almost making a V-shaped bottom there. And another one I'm completely long-term, and I think we've had this for probably around like the 45 level, so basically beginning of 19 we've had this, and we added it slowly, kind of some pullbacks. When WoW Vanilla came out, we had a huge spike. When the Call of Duty stuff was announced, it had a nice little spike. And I think once Overwatch 2 and those various maybe a potential update and release of Diablo and different other various aspects of how Activision's doing, and I think they're going to see a increase in its earnings in the fact of the overall COVID-19. This has been performing very well, being above the 21 on the weekly. So this is the monthly. On the monthly, let's go back to the weekly. Being above the 21 here on the weekly, potentially going to be pushing higher. We have earnings coming up on the end of the month, so 3-ish weeks away. I think they're going to be, again, earnings are a coin flip. Again, this is a long-term hold. if it gets back down to 45, I still like it, unless it's, hey, we have to let go of all the staff because for somehow someone figured out a way to unlock all the loot boxes and hack all the WoW servers. Whatever, that's fine. That's a crazy scenario, but if it happens, it happens, right? And the last one, which is a crazy one, which I thought I would never own, is a casino stock. I kind of just bought this. Sorry. There we go. I just saw this chart and I said, "There's no way." This is different than a overall cruise line stock. I think that this will recover as much as the other cruise line stocks, on the sense of it's. I don't think the cruise line stocks are going to go anywhere, but I think they're going to have to be restructured. With MGM, I think them being closed down for an X period of time and limiting cash flow and things like that, I think that will come back. This is just a pure fundamental play of like, I bought this literally at $6. We bought it heavily at $6. This was just a gut instinct of like, there's no way MGM can be at $6. I'll buy it again at 2 if it goes at 2. The reason behind that is because I was just looking at what it was during the financial crisis, and it got down to $1.81, and that was a fall from 100 to $1. And what can I see this happening for this one? Like, this can easily go back to $20, $25. I don't know if it's going to see $35, $40 anytime soon, but it can easily go back to 20, and we're going to make hopefully 3 or 4 times our money on this individual stock. So these are just my little stories in my investment journey. There's plenty of more stocks that I own and keep an eye on and look for long term. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, this is Ken from the Dyslexic Investor, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.